Imperva is the comprehensive digital security leader on a mission to help organizations protect their data and all paths to it. Only Imperva protects all digital experiences, from business logic to APIs, microservices, the data layer, and from vulnerable legacy environments to cloud-first organizations. With an integrated approach combining network, application, and data security, Imperva protects companies ranging from cloud-native startups to global multinationals with hybrid infrastructure. Start a free trial today and quickly protect your web applications at securityweekly.com/Imperva.
Created in 2005 and hosted by security industry veterans, Paul's Security Weekly is your source for in-depth coverage of the latest vulnerabilities, exploits, and security research. Our weekly security news discussion dives deep into the security issues we face today and potential solutions in a fun and lively atmosphere. Each week, we bring on guests from the security community to learn about their journey and discuss topics relevant to their work and research. You can also subscribe to our show by visiting securityweekly.com/subscribe or look for Paul's Security Weekly in your favorite podcast catcher. We've recorded a ton of content over the years, so we created Spotify playlists featuring some of our favorite episodes, including interviews with Marcus Random, John McAfee, and Chris Roberts, to name a few. You can find them at securityweekly.com/starter packs.
Welcome to RSA Conference 2023. We're here recording live from Broadcast Alley in Moscone West. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me for this interview is Eric Fourier, CEO and co-founder of GitGuardian. Welcome, Eric.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. We're set up here in Broadcast Alley along, some other podcasters, some other media here, and so today we'll be talking about some exciting new features that GitGuardian has, some new modules for the platform. Yeah, I think is how you describe it. For those who might be unfamiliar with GitGuardian, maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit about what you do, what the product does, before these new features that we've been talking about.
Yeah, of course. So actually, we are a French company doing like code security and securing like software supply chain. And we are like specialized in like secret detection, both in like public GitHub repo and internal repos, meaning like we are able to scan public GitHub to find like credential leaks, and also integrate with internal GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, any type of VCS to scan code to find secrets and to avoid companies being hacked.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen a lot of breaches that come from credentials being in code. Like it's amazing. Like even after, so GitHub, like a lot of these services will tell you if you have secrets, but it doesn't seem like it's 100%. Like it always.
Yeah. So as a company, like there is like stuff we call like secrets pools. So developers, IT people, DevOps, we like spread credential across like different tools. It can be like VCS, like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, but also like messaging system like Slack or CI log. So it's like, I will say you can like spread secrets in different data sources, and and GitHub has done some work, but still we find tons of secrets in public and private repos and other data sources. So yeah, even I think like even one month and a half ago, even GitHub leaked its own SSH SSH key. So I think it happens to everyone, even the best.
Yeah. So that's mainly preventative, finding these secrets, making sure you don't have any secrets in these, right?
So I will say it's both. So we find the secrets, and also we suggest a fix. So it's really important for us. Like we invested like a lot at the beginning of the company in the detection. So building a great secret detection engine with a low false positive rate and a high recall. So meaning able to catch every type of secrets. And like the last, I would say 2 years, we have like invested a lot in what we call remediation. Is like as a company, we will find tons of secrets in large companies, SMBs, and even like especially in large companies, we find like tons of secrets. And after it's what can you do? Is like you need to replace them with a correct way to do it, meaning using a secrets management system like HashiCorp Vault or the cloud native ones, the AWS Secrets Manager or stuff like that. So we will help you like to do this remediation. So, and you have to replace the secrets with the correct way, and also revoke it to avoid like if an attacker succeeds to have access to your code, he can use the secrets to move laterally and take control of your databases, of your cloud, or any of your infrastructure resources.
So what we're talking about today, Honeytokens, is a move from more preventative, finding these secrets that can be abused, into threat detection. Really, right?
So what we really have learned like the couple of years with our customers is like, as I said, we found tons of secrets, and it's a big risk for companies, and it will take times to do the remediation because you have all this history of like code that was produced with secrets inside, and it takes time to do this remediation. And while as a company you're doing this remediation, you are like, if an attacker succeeds to get access to your code, he can use these secrets to move laterally. And really, we want like to prevent this to happen. And it's really the goal of the Honeytoken module. Is really how we can secure your software supply chain. We have seen with the different attacks, it can be you can like hijack a production session from an engineer to get access to source code. So it can be one of your software supply chain providers that has been hacked, like the Code hack. So as a company, you will be breached at some time. Like attacker will succeed to have access to your software supply chain, and with the Honeytoken module, you want to know when, how, and who. So basically, what kind of resources the attacker is getting access with the IP address. We can match like have a sense of who is the attacker, and when we can detect exactly when the Honeytoken has been triggered by the attacker.
Yeah, so for those who have watched my podcast, Enterprise Security Weekly, we talk about honeytokens and honeypots and how they can be used in detecting attacks quite a bit. But for those not familiar with the concept, honeytokens, I think people who are familiar with it usually think of it as some bit of code or some resource that, when accessed or used, will trigger an alert.
Yeah,
right?
It's exactly. It's like one of the most simple examples we take. It's a fake AWS secret. It's basically like
an API key.
Yeah, a real API key, but giving access to no resources. Actually, it's like the API key has access to no resource from the customer. It's usually our resource, the way we deploy it.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. So basically, as an attacker, now we have seen it in the different, like the past 2 or 3 years. They will use automated, they would build like secret scanning tools. It can be Truffle, it can be GitLeaks, like any kind of secret scanning tools on the market to scan the code of the customers that are trying to attack, to find these secrets and to do this lateral movement. And while they are doing this scanning, they will check the secrets. And when you check the secrets, it will actually trip the Honeytoken. And just like now the customer will know, okay, this Honeytoken has been tripped. And they can see, okay, this is this resource, this IP at this time, and he can know he has been breached.
So are the form of the Honeytokens all the same? Are they all AWS secrets, or do you have different kinds?
So you can build different types of Honeytoken. It can be AWS secrets, it can be fake database credential, it can be fake credit card. So actually the way you can build many Honeytokens. I would say what we bring to the table is this idea of fingerprinting with each IT resources with one Honeytoken. For example, for code, it can be we will place one Honeytoken in one repository, and with the GitGuardian platform, you are able to know how you can disseminate all these Honeytokens. So you will know, okay, I have, for example, I have put like 1,000 Honeytoken and in 1,000 repos. And I can know if this Honeytoken is triggered, it has been this repo that has been breached. So it's called like Honeytoken fingerprinting. So it's really this idea of disseminating your Honeytoken in your whole IT infrastructure that really makes you like more like safe against supply chain attack from And what information do you get when that Honeytoken is triggered? So we get the classic one, so IP address, user agent, time of the breach.
Okay.
And also the one what we bring with Honeytoken, so it can detect if you can place Honeytoken in your software supply chain, so in your repos, in your Slack channels, in your CI environment variable. But you can also put it in your SaaS providers. And so you can have this dual view of knowing, as a company, am I system breached, but also am I third party breached? Mm-hmm. And so we provide this dual vision, and also with GitGuardian traditional capabilities, because we actually monitor all the public code in real time. So we are able to scan all the public GitHub data. Actually, if your source code has been leaked on GitHub and it contains the Honeytoken, we're able to find this Honeytoken in the public code and tell you, okay, be careful. Your source code here is on a public space, so it means you have been breached and some of your code has leaked.
Ah, very nice. Yeah. So that's another. You can track the provenance, you know that where it's come from.
Yeah, exactly. With the Honeytoken solution, we can protect your software supply chain. You can also protect your third-party providers and also detect again public code leakage on GitHub.
And I imagine one of the benefits of your module is if I put out 1,000 Honeytokens out there, your solution is keeping track of which one is where.
Exactly.
Right? So when one triggers, I don't just know somewhere one of these thousands that's triggered. I know exactly which one and where. Right?
Exactly, because we are already. That's the beauty of the synergy with our secret detection solution. Because we detect secrets, we can also detect our own Honeytokens and know exactly when they are placed, in which repo, in which file, at which line, and so we know exactly what asset has been breached. And we really want to do. I will say what we want to provide is really this massive dissemination at scale of Honeytokens in all your IT assets.
And one of the classic questions I think a lot of people come up to, that occurs to people when they start putting these tokens out into their infrastructure is how do you make sure that you catch the attacker, but that your own employees don't trigger the alert?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it's the issue with all the cyber world right now. It's avoiding false positives.
Yeah.
There are multiple ways to do it. Is first, I would say, as everything is educating, you have to put actually your developers and your development team in the loop. And actually, that's what we really want to push. Is really also have this shift left approach for Honeytokens also. So it makes the DevOps and the developer responsible to put this Honeytoken in the code, or have this dual approach will also use automation. So you can use, for example, we can do automated merge requests, so we can put automatically Honeytokens. And so if your developers team is in the loop, and you educate them about why we're doing this and how it works, it can avoid the false positive. And after you have more product features, so you can, for example, allow list internal IPs to see, okay, it's a check coming from my network, so maybe but even this, it's not bulletproof. But for me, the best approach is really the shift left, educate your teams and know what we are doing, so we avoid false positives.
And how can customers get access to this new module? Is it built into your existing platform that does the secrets discovery and all that?
Yeah, so we have released two new models this year. So both are in beta. So we have the infrastructure as code security, so scanning Terraform files and Kubernetes files to find cloud misconfiguration. There's a new Honeytoken module that was released 1 week ago. And so we are opening the beta, and as in all our products, so we have really this I would say product-led growth philosophy. So there is a free tier, there is a free trial. So people will be able to use it for free with a certain limit of a number of tokens, and after they can also try out the full feature set with more tokens. And during the beta, we'll welcome a lot of people to just trying out the product, so we can get massive product feedback and improve the product.
And then also, what is SaaS Sentinel? You also have SaaS Sentinel?
Yeah, so we are a big fan of what we call lead product magnet. So the idea of SaaS Sentinel is really this. So we took our own technology, so our own Honeytokens, and we place them in different actually SaaS providers. It can be providers really sensitive provider, 1Password, in the GitHub CI. So cloud providers it can be also Jenkins, Drone CI. And we just play them, we will actually delete the keys, and we'll just monitor if something happens, and just to show, and we just give it to the community, so the ability to know when a Honeytoken has been triggered, meaning potentially a SaaS provider was breached, or the key was accessed, so it should not be accessed. And so it's a way to give the community basically a score or like a way to know if some breaches can happen in their like software supply chain in the SaaS provider.
And that's free and open for everybody to use.
Everybody can just like look at the little alarm, just subscribe to the actually you just like put your email address, and each time and you just put your list of suppliers you want to monitor, and each time Honeytoken is triggered, we'll send you an email.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Thank you, Eric, for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This has been great. This is one of our favorite topics to talk about. I think honeytokens, honeypots are very underutilized.
Yeah, like we, of course, like honeypot and honeytokens are like technologies that are like 20 years old. Like we didn't invent anything. You have great company like things like leveraging it, and but really our goal is to, I would say, democratize it, especially for software supply chain attack. I think it's definitely some technology like companies should like really use. Because it's like really fast to deploy. You have a low positive rate, and really you can catch the attacker. Like, and with all the attack we have seen lately, I think any company will have some points be breached, and they really should know like where, how, and really at what time they are breached.
All right, it's great. It's great. Yeah, and if you can't stick around for the rest of the live stream, or you're catching this afterward, head over to securityweekly.com/RSAC to find all of the RSA conference coverage by Cyber Risk Alliance. This has been Eric Fourier from GitGuardian, and to find out more about them, visit securityweekly.com/GitGuardian RSAC. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Welcome to RSA Conference 2023. We're recording live from Broadcast Alley here in Moscone West. I'm your host, Mike Shima, and I'm here with Richard Yu, Head of Product at Edgio. Welcome,
Thanks for
Richard.
having me here.
Wonderful to have you here. And we're nice and close, sitting next to each other here, so we haven't thrown you off to the edge of our screen. But
that's a good one.
You're telling us about edge security. This is something not necessarily, it's not too new, I think, but it's definitely in a different way of thinking about architectures, and probably more importantly, thinking about securing applications.
Yeah, like it's definitely not new. It's actually a concept that's been existing for a long time. In fact, our company, like this industry started more than 20 years ago. As more and more content, as more internet traffic grows more and more, we're going to make sure that the network infrastructure resilience, right? So more and more content gets shipped from the edge of the internet, like from tens of thousands of servers worldwide. So it makes sense to actually extend the security from your inner perimeters out, to the edge of the internet. That's the whole concept of, why we're moving towards an edge-enabled security solutions.
Absolutely, because we can't, latency is important, so that's why we're moving that edge to the customer. We haven't fixed the speed of light yet, but I think, for 20 years ago, part of the perimeter was just, this is our hard firewall, and then we have a soft interior. But edge security, that's not what this is. We're not just moving the security out and forgetting internal, are we?
Yeah, like that, it's misconceptions, so to speak. It's kind of like, well, you have a traditional perimeter, firewalls, that's like, close to your soft cores, right? Well, it might sound like we're just, we're just going to expand, increase your surface area. That sounds really bad, like yes. by putting like things. No, in fact, edge security, just by the fact that we have like, there's servers everywhere in the world. There's within 20 milliseconds of every end users and client, which, by the way, are attackers. Who knows, right? And it's very important to know that instead of having a perimeter, edge security is perimeter-less. You probably heard of this word like fog computing. So it's definitely a misconception. It's more like we're actually extending your perimeters. What we are actually saturating that so that there's no perimeter, because your perimeter is everywhere.
It's everywhere. And I guess that's a little bit like zero trust, the idea that we are also not just going to have security in one spot and here's one boundary to cross over. Is it close to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Zero trust actually fits really well with this concept. The idea is that every single client request, you shouldn't wait till all of requests to like get to your actual physical boundaries before you try to decide, hey, if it's good or bad, should we trust it or not? You should implement zero trust concept right from the beginning, and preferably right from device If this request coming from device is malicious, don't trust it. Don't let it get sent off in the first place.
And that's got to be also a smart security idea because, as you mentioned, the attackers are all over that perimeter as well, and you're moving the 20 millisecond latency for the attackers. And this suddenly have botnets. Why wait for that botnet traffic to get all the way to your one single backend data store, right? This is something that we can benefit from.
Exactly. That's actually a whole point. Like when you have a bunch of servers, when you're within 20 milliseconds away from like every major metropolitan city in the world, right? Like by being close to the end user, sure, we talk about CDN, we talk about performance, we talk about reducing the latency. That may or may not be important to you, but what's more important is also you're close to the attackers, right? Would you rather defeat an attack, mitigate them at the point of their originations, or would you rather do that at your origin? So that the concept is to actually defeat them right when they started.
And I think that helps. You mentioned resiliency, for example. I think that hopefully it helps the developers to also figure out that let's solve this problem here. It makes things a little bit easier to detect, a little bit safer or more resilient for the rest of our infrastructure, not to take it down.
Exactly. Resilient, when I look at resilient, right, you can actually evaluate in two ways. Resiliency as in, the availability of infrastructures, the reliability of infrastructures. What we found is that when you actually start doing like mitigating a lot of security on the edge, no one can claim that you're going to do that 100%.
Sure.
They'll be lying. I can pretty confidently say that. But if you can get rid of 90% of the junk, right? We actually did measure. We actually see that by doing that we on average reduce the latency and improve the application performance by 9%. That's actually very significant if you are running in e-commerce, for example, a performance-sensitive application. The second part of resiliency, it's also from a process, from a workflow perspective. We're giving the ability to respond.
Okay.
Because there's prevention, detection, response, right? We're giving the ability to detect and respond to any attack on a web really quickly.
So then, that sounds great from the end user perspective. Reduce my latency as a user so I can interact with the e-commerce, whatever, and it just is it's snappier. It looks nice. How does that translate though for the developers? Is it now edge security? Go deploy edge security. I say in square quotes. Is that what you do? What does it look like for developers?
Well, great thing is that if traditional app security is right. You're either deploying hardwares or like in your perimeters, or developers might not like people. Oh, you have to like have in your backlog add additional non-functional requirements to like deploy agents in your applications, right? With edge security, it's because most edge security runs in a reverse proxy mode, right? It's very infrastructure agnostic. We don't care, right? What applications you're using, what types of infrastructures, physical, hybrids, etc. Right? It can all be deployed, like pretty simplistically. That it's just an easy change in like your DNS record and your life.
That sounds a lot more compelling for the developer side rather than say, why should we always accommodate and change our applications to accommodate security? Can it ever come the other direction? Can't security accommodate us sometime?
Now we're in this DevSecOps territory, right? I love this analogy from I heard from a very wise man that says that security should not be an icing on the cake. Security should be the flour. When you make the cake, it should be part of that. You cannot separate it, and if you do it right, you don't see it. That's the gist of that. That's fundamental of what we want to do, right? And that's what we want to work with developers, make sure that things are integrated in a seamless manner.
And that sounds, you've convinced me, both on the taste side of things as well. So what then does it look like to, what are some of the bigger attacks that developers are going to be seeing coming to them, or what are some of the big maybe changes we can expect in web security?
Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing that's emerging. So you used to look at attack in silo, like there's DDoS attack, and even within DDoS attack, you have the network DDoS attack, you have the application, the layer 7 DDoS attack, right? And then now you have the applications, you have the application injections, like Log4j, vulnerability, exploits, etc. And then there's also a botnet, right? Like credential stuffing, the gift card. But what nowadays, these three vectors, they could actually happen at the same time. right? So you're seeing more of a advanced persistence attack to websites that requires a true holistic approach. Right, instead of just, hey, this one specialist to handle this type of attack and then pass it to another.
And I guess that's what also edge security can help, because rather than just say, let's just shed this traffic at the edge, which is nice, that's good, but you're also potentially getting that better visibility, so you can also decide, oh, this is what this type of attack is, and we'll respond to it in one way. Here's another type of attack that's not just volumetric. It's going to be more interesting to respond to.
Exactly. Like when you look at how and normal enterprise, like grade, web applications, right? Most of them are using some sort of reverse proxy, cachings to like improve their resiliency, just because it reduces, the amount of loads, for offloading. But it's also very natural, right? Because by doing that, you're actually funneling. Well, funnel is probably not the right word, but you're actually routing all of your traffic to a platform that actually has visibility on all of your web traffic going in and out of your network. So when you have that, like, where's the best place to actually put all of your security detections, technologies? It's on the layers where you see all of the traffic going in and out.
And that sounds like a great case too. That sounds like visibility, being able to see what's going in and out. Honestly, that sounds like a developer, sort of like an SRE or a DevOps even, for let's set the security aside. This is what they're interested in. Show me metrics. Show me what my application is doing. And this just so happens that security is actually helping for this for once.
Yeah.
That's a great that's a great way to do things. So if we've already expanded out to the edge, is there anywhere where can we expand from there? What's next step for security or this type of making our apps more secure for whatever we want to see in the future?
So I would say, I'm going to use this word consolidations. It's not like a pretty frequently used word, nowadays. But I would say, I don't think the industries are done kind of like moving securities to the edge because, again, we're in this RSA conference, we see a lot of point solutions. So I always like to compare that against a point solutions. So edge security is not meant to replace the point solutions. I think a lot of platforms are actually currently working with point solutions that does one thing very well. Let's call it best of breed, right? But we want to make sure that we're able to help, our customers, the community, easily integrate it into the platform. So I think the industry is going to trend towards a consolidations of a lot of these point solutions, because imagine if each one of them get dropped in. Let's call it plug and play, but not exactly in the platform. Right, it means that you're going to have to watch out for a lot of non-functional requirements. Does your traffic get encrypted, re-encrypted, multiple pass? Or can you just do it in a single pass with a single pane of glass?
Right, and yeah, you're describing, again, engineering requirements. Like, why should I do this same operation multiple times and inspect the traffic, re-encrypt it, et cetera? Engineers are just going to say, you're slowing me down. This is going to impact the end user as well. It's going to be visible to them.
Exactly. It's all about reducing frictions for the security adoptions, because when you reduce the frictions, we get more secure.
Yes, and hopefully, actually, it just adopts security in the first place, if it doesn't exist well. Rather than just shaming people or yelling at them, go do this because we said so, you're actually giving them benefits beyond just security, that visibility and other things that you're talking about.
Security, observability, and you get performance improvement as a nice bonus if that's not your business metric, because that usually translate your website latency translate to an exact business metrics, for a lot of corporations.
Yeah, so I wondered then, do you see or would you hope that security even starts talking more about quality and resilience rather than just it's always security, just do this for security? Like what language or metrics should they be moving into perhaps?
Yeah, this is where we talk about how there needs to be a culture change in a lot of organizations, because security are being seen as a risk, compliance, or the technologies organizations, but we need to get closer to the business organization as well. And certain industry verticals are more mature at this, like they're more at the forefront of this, especially for like the high latency like companies. So what we talk about, we got to speak to the business with the right language. Like with securities, we can help reduce how much of risk, right? And also like what is the benefits, and also like how does that translate to development velocity? Because like when you're cutting down on a lot of like non-functional requirements, you improve your developer velocity. You spend more time building like revenue generating applications, and latency too, right? By implementing a better security architectures, right? you're translating into a potentially higher revenue for your applications.
Yeah, and I think what you're describing is here's an application that is successful, meeting user requirements, making users happy, and oh, by the way, it just so happens to be secure as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a wonderful recipe you've given us, Richard. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, my pleasure.
We appreciate it. If you'd like to learn more about Edgio, visit securityweekly.com/EdgioRSAC. And stay tuned and stick around. We have much more coming up on our live stream.
All right. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks again, Richard.
Have a great day.